The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athern.com. And by InterMountain Railway Company, where the detail makes the difference. Check out their website at intermountain-railway.com. The National Model Railroad Association, where membership has its benefits. Check out their website at nmra.org. Further support is provided by Microengineering, keeping you on track with quality products for 55 years. Check out their website at www.microengineering.com. Order from your local dealer or order direct by calling 1-800-462-6975.
Additional support for What's Neat This Week is brought to you by SoundTraxx, industry leaders in model railroad sound and technology for over 30 years. Now please visit our website at soundtraxx.com, and at checkout, be sure to use the promo code WNTW15 for 15% off of your purchases. And while you're there, be sure to check out our YouTube channel and other information that we have on our website to help you get more familiar with Model Railroader Reader's Choice Award winner 2 times for Favorite Sound Decoder.
Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 127 for August 22nd, 2020. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show every month over at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine. And boy, have we got a good one coming out this month, guys. I've got with me in the studio, Sugar Fire, Joshua Barton sitting right next to me here and wearing a mask. I've also got Mike Budde. You guys haven't seen Mike Budde on the show since March.
Not for a while.
It's
person.
Nice to have you down here. We've got Daniel Coombs running camera tonight. It's the first time we've had a camera operator in quite some time. On the internet tonight, starting with, I've got John Fowler. Hello, John.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Hi, John.
You'll remember John Fowler as the proprietor of ZYX Creative. That's the company that made those really cool tunnels, portholes, and all the neat stuff we showed on the show a couple of weeks ago. And also the gentleman that built that house out there in Tehachapi right on the tracks. So I look forward to what we're going to talk about tonight. Also, I've got Jim Zinzer, MMR. Jim, how are you tonight?
Good evening. I am just fine. Thanks for having me.
Your voice is great. Jim used to be in the business of radio, and you guys are going to see that tonight. He's also going to be talking about the NMRA, and both John and Jim also have really cool layouts, and we're going to be sharing photographs of their layouts as they describe them and tell us about their passion for the best hobby in the world. Now, this week has been a fantastic week. Thank you very much. And sounds like I say that all the time, but I got a lot of photo shoots in this week. Starting with the beautiful sunny day that I had when I shot these Athern GP39-2s outside. Brand new in stock at Athearn. And these are 23 horsepower units, 2,300 horsepower units.
2 more zeros.
They were built from 1974 through about 1980. And these that I've got on the table are in Kodachrome and the blue bonnets. Starting with number 3600, I shot that outside. That's in the Kodachrome paint scheme with just the SF on the long hood. I shot a top shot of that also. It's a dynamite looking locomotive with the light on top, that gyro light. Also, we got number 3613. That's also in the Kodachrome paint work. And I've got 3614 in the yellow, the blue bonnet paint scheme. All of these units, as you can see, have got different antenna arrays, different air conditioning setups, a lot of great detail on these units. These were the units, here a train out there at John's house. These are the units that they rebuilt in the Claiborne shops back in 1986 through 87. They were mostly used on the eastern and the western parts of the Santa Fe as road switchers, locals, and freight, secondary freight jobs. So they're perfect for that light rail that we were talking about, that Code 70 rail on last week's show. Also tonight, we've got some really cool vehicles on the table. And Mike, you didn't know that these vehicles even existed.
No.
These are made by Micro Engineering. And they're in their, what they call the Wheelworks line. And every one of these vehicles are kits. And I love it when we've got a lot of new neat products to show off. But this is new to Mike.
Yeah,
so I'm going to call this
they're
new. Cause
kind of out of my era, really.
there's
That's
a
the
lot
problem.
of early era vehicles there, except for, I think, the truck that they use for loading the trailers, and
Right.
the piggy packers and running
But
those around.
they're really, really nice models.
Yeah.
I shot every single one of these outside, guys, so that you guys could see what they all look like up close and personal. Starting with the Roadster, I shot this model with the top up and the top down, all three of them together. These are white metal kits, so every one of these you get the pleasure of building. I also shot the station wagon outside. It almost looks like a Woody. It's got the wood sides on it. And of course, I've got the terminal truck, which Mike and I just talked about. I know that's in your era, definitely. And that's also a white metal casting. They make a rail truck in HO and HON3. I shot the HO scale one and actually lined it up on the rails, and it looked pretty good that way. I also have got a 1934 panel truck. I used that great big Wathers brewery as a backdrop for these photographs. I also shot the stake truck. And the stake truck is a vehicle that I've been using for years in a lot of my photos. They've got two of them, and I shot both of these side by side. The cab and chassis by itself gives you the ability to add anything you want on the back of the vehicle. That's kind of a neat setup. And also a small stake truck. I shot all of these small stake trucks together. And there's a small pickup truck also that I want to talk about. I think I had 3 of those pickup trucks. Different colors. Again, white metal castings, all the headlights. I've taken those headlights and lit them up in the past in photographs, so I know that can be done. There's also a REA Express truck. This kit comes with decals, so you can make it look just like it's supposed to. There's also a log truck. The log truck's got a trailer on it, and I believe you put your own logs on that kit. And the last one I think I've got is a flatbed with a tractor on the back of it. And I think that's the yellow tractor, the one I've got on the table here. I've also got a dump truck. That's the blue truck with the load on it. So every one of these are HO scale models that you saw, but not to leave the N scalers out there disappointed. But as you can see, there's a cement mixer and a fire truck and also a gasoline tanker truck. So the guys that get at the N scale stuff, check them all out. These are all available on the website at microengineering.com. And you can find detailed line-by-line description of each one of these on their website. Plus, Wathers stocks these. And they're all in the Wathers HO scale catalog, the ones that I mentioned. The only thing I didn't talk about that's still here on the table, I love those horns, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
A lot of traffic today.
I've got a
Been a good
speeder.
day.
You know what a speeder is? That's the, ride those on the rails. They make that in HO scale and N scale. So I've shot both of those together side by side, but we've got them both on a table. I love it when we start out the show with all these photographs and all this eye candy all at one time. I've got some amazing covered hoppers that arrived today on the back porch. And these are from InterMountain out there in Longmont, Colorado. And these are the 4750 cubic foot, 18 rib, 3-bay hoppers. And I've got 2 of them in HO scale. I've got 1003, and that is grain train. And this one is available in 4 different road numbers, so you guys can, get multiples of that. I've also got this beautiful pink car, number 4218, Clemmy Co-op. This car is available in 6 different road numbers. And I shot all of the HO scale ones from the top, so that you can see the various different types of hatches that InterMountain offers. They've got etched metal walkways, absolutely beautiful. And these all come with Katy couplers. And again, not to leave the N-scale guys out there, we've got 3 beautiful N-scale models of the same type of hopper. I've got number 1352, Grain Handlers Corporation, and I thought that was a pretty neat car. That's the blue one here that I'm showing you right now. State Line Elevators. That was neat. It's got a yellow brake wheel on it. This is the orange car,
That's
number
cool.
18011. And the last one I've got is West Bend Elevator Company. That car is also in pink, number 5525. All of these come with microtrain couplers, and I shot these on top too. Metal etched roof walks again in N scale. Amazing detail in N scale. Different hatches.
Yeah.
And that's the lineup that I've got from Intermountain this week. Check them out at intermountainrailways.com. I'm going to save the Cactus, the Saguaro Cactus. I'm going to let... I shot those outside today, and when John Fowler talks about those are 3D printed Cactus.
Yeah.
And Jim Zinzer, you're going to talk about the NMRA tonight. I know that. You are an MMR. Why don't you explain to us what those... I see those initials behind a lot of different people's names, MMR. What does that mean?
It stands for Master Model Railroader, and it is a designation that the NMRA gives out after you have shown your expertise in various areas of model railroading and done some service to the hobby. It's a two-pronged program where you must do modeling and you must also do some volunteer work that is to the good of the hobby and to the good of the NMRA. So there are 11 different categories, and you have to take 7 of those, and I believe 2 of them have to be service to the hobby. The rest of them are modeling certificates. And once you've gotten 7 of them, then you are deemed a master model railroader. I mean, that's kind of the condensed version of what it is. And your work is judged either in your home, depending on if you can't bring a layout to a contest unless you're doing modules. So judges will come to your home and judge the things that cannot be judged somewhere else, such as if you build a structure or you build a car or you build a locomotive. Those, of course, you can bring to a convention or a train show where the NMRA has judging going on and get those judged. The rest of the categories are judged on your layout at your house.
That's cool.
So,
and you're in charge of, you do a write-up in the NMRA. It's not called the NMRA Bulletin anymore. What do they call the magazine?
No, today it's the NMRA Magazine.
Okay.
And I write, it's a monthly magazine that is part of your membership. I write a column called Division Business Car, which appears every other month in the NMRA magazine. And what I cover in the Division Business Car column is not only divisions, which I'll get to in a second, but regions as well. The NMRA is divided up into regions, and they are subdivided into divisions. And divisions are, I guess, what you would call, other organizations would call it the local chapters of their organization. And this is where you get together locally with your fellow model railroaders and you do some really neat stuff. And I mean, I can get into detail on that. I don't know if you want to do that right at this second or whether we want to move on.
I remember
kind of an outline.
The very first NMRA show I ever went to was here in St. Louis at Lindbergh High School. And I think that was back in 1979. Lenny Applebaum took me to it, and I asked my grandma if it was okay if I went. He was a St. Louis County police officer, so she said it was okay.
Right.
And I was blown away. She gave me $30 to take with me. This is before I had a job. I was in junior high school back then. And it was amazing. I saw my very first modular layout in N-scale at this event. They had something called a silent auction where you could buy used models and it was like a bidding type of a situation. And then I also discovered the photo contest, which, so I must tell you that the local meets, and I called Bobby Amsler tonight and I didn't get a hold of him to see if our November meet in St. Louis is still on, Jim. I don't know if we're going to have the November meet or not. I'm still checking, and I'll keep everybody updated to that. But if we do have that, I'd like to broadcast our show from that.
That would be
nice.
wonderful.
That would be fun.
Jim, I have a couple questions about the AP program. Before you start your certificates, is it true that you need to get a Golden Spike certificate first?
The Golden Spike is not necessary, but it's a good introduction because it's sort of the achievement program light. You have to do some of the same things that you have to do for the full-blown AP certificates, but you do less of them. And the requirements, the bar isn't quite as high, but it gets your feet wet. It gets you, used to what you have to do for the full-blown program. And really, it kind of shows you that the AP program might not be as daunting as you think,
Right.
because everybody thinks that it's harder than it is. And this is a way to, sort of introduce you to the program and just get your feet wet. So, no, you do not. The long answer to your short question is no.
Now you said that your things had to be judged. Now, is there a certain person in your area that has to judge, or can it be anyone that's an NMRA member?
Well, usually at the division level and at the region level, there are people who are responsible for the AP program. And you get in touch with whoever those people are, and they can set you up with the judging, either at your home, or you bring a model to a division meeting and get it judged there, or you take it to a regional or national convention to get it judged, if it's a model. But like I say, there's also an element of service to the hobby, which is things like writing articles. So there's one called author. There's another one for just volunteering. That's the first one I got. Because I had gotten a whole bunch of points when we did a convention here in Detroit in 2007, and I wasn't even aware of the AP program, and the chairman of the convention sent me this letter thanking me for helping out and saying I got these points towards my achievement program certificate. I got, okay, well, that's really nice to know, and I stuck it in a drawer and forgot about it for years until I learned what the program was really all about. So there's author, there's volunteer, there's also you can serve as an officer of the NMRA, either at the division, the region, or the national level. Those count for those awards. So it's not all modeling. It's also getting in and helping others by being active in the NMRA in some capacity.
Well, that's a really good incentive for me to do some volunteer work for the next meeting, you know?
There you go.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely.
John Fowler, I got some great news for you out there in California. Next year's NMRA National, and we're going to have it because all this COVID's going to be gone by then, it's out in California. You can look this up on the NMRA website at nmra.org.
Yes.
That is the website. And I do know that it isn't in California next year, because the following year, 2022, it's here in St. Louis. The boys have worked that out. So far, that's still on. And
Nice.
that's going to be our second chance to have what we missed out this year. Now, Jim, you've got a really interesting layout. You are a modeler. You have a passion for the hobby. And you sent us some photographs of your layout, and I'm going to show them. Tell us about this beautiful layout that you've got.
Well, my model railroad is called the Copper Valley Railway. And it is set in what's called here in Michigan the Copper Country, which is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, just across the bridge that connects the Lower Peninsula to the Upper Peninsula. And well, it's not just across; it's also on the other side of the Upper Peninsula, in a small peninsula that sticks up off the Upper Peninsula called the Keweenaw Peninsula. And from about the 1850s on to around World War I, a huge amount of copper mining was done there. It was one of the richest copper discoveries in the world at the time. And much of the nation's copper came from that area until, like I said, about World War I, when things started to go downhill. Not because there was a lack of copper. There, from what I understand, there's still a lot of it underground there. But because they started to discover that they could strip mine it a lot easier out west. And these are shaft mines, so the process was a lot cheaper. And over time, the mines in the Upper Peninsula were no longer used. They all kind of went out of business. But because, as I said, there's still a lot of copper underground, I sort of seized on that and said, so what if they had never discovered that they could strip mine out west real cheap? They might continue mining in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So my railroad is set in the early 1950s, specifically the fall of 1954, up in that area of the world. And I just use that as an excuse to model something a little newer than what I would have had to if I would go strictly prototypical. So that's sort of generally what I do.
It's beautiful. I love the
Yes.
color of those trees.
Right.
It's just very,
Yeah, I
very
love
well.
fall colors. So I had to set it in the fall. And I picked 1954 because a lot of people kind of picked that same time because steam was on the way out, diesels were on the way in, and it gives you an excuse to model both.
That's the year I was born too, summer of '54.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably another reason you
A
picked
good
it.
year.
Yes.
One of the reasons I picked 1954 was because that has nothing to do with railroading, is because that was the year I turned 10, and I thought having 2 digits in my age was a really cool thing.
That's really cool. Hey, Jim, I've got Daniel here, and Daniel was running camera and running his cell phone at the same time, which he actually usually does. And tonight, thank you for doing that, Daniel. He looked up the NMRA 2021 show, and that's Rails by the Bay is what they're calling that, in Santa Clara, California. And after we get rid of COVID, that's going to be July 4th through the 11th,
Wow.
2021.
We can watch fireworks and then go. Yeah, that sounds good.
I know. I'm not driving out there. We're flying. I'm going to go out to John Fowler. John, now you guys will remember John as being the proprietor of ZYX Creative. That's that company that comes out with these beautiful 3D printed models. The tunnel portholes are what really caught Joshua's eye. And I'm going to let you tell us, John, about these amazing cactus that I have on the table tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm going to run some photographs of them while you talk about them. This is something new that's in your line. Talk about these cactus.
Yeah, okay, well, these are brand new. They're available now. And I'm very excited to have these. I'm going to be adding them. Hopefully, I'll get a chance this week to add them to my layout, which is set in, well, part of it is set in Arizona. The Sunset route, basically the SP Sunset route that goes through Tucson, will have these cactus. And I'm going to be offering a set of 14 different cactus. Price point's going to be about $28. There will be different sizes of these things.
These are called Saguaro cactus. They're amazing. I tried making one out of clay, and obviously I didn't understand the scale of these things.
I like the prickly pear ones too.
Yes.
Those are very nice and detailed.
Here's a photograph of the prickly pear cactus. I shot 2 photographs of this today, and these are also going to be available from you, John. And these are the kind of cactus my grandma would grow out on the cliff. And you touched those once, and man, those little
Stay away from the cliff. Didn't
Oh
you?
man, I'll tell you what, those things stuck in your finger, and you're out there trying to pull them out.
Yeah.
But the Saguaro cactus, I think, would look fantastic in an Athern ad, a Southern Pacific desert type of a scene. Would just lend itself well towards that.
There's also a Santa Fe branch that came down from the Transcon that went into Phoenix, where they would be perfect for Santa Fe modelers as well. And good news for all Western and actually all model railroaders is now you can have prickly pear. These are found all over the United States.
Yep.
These are like Western. So, I mean, if you have a Western layout with Western scenery, you got to have some of these. And I can't wait to get these on my layout.
Yeah.
When I was researching prickly pear cactus, I found out that there's a thing called the Eastern prickly pear cactus, which grow to be smaller, but they range from east of the Mississippi all the way up to New York and down into Florida.
That's cool.
So those are going to be about $19 for a whole set of patches. Also included in those packages are going to be individual tiny little prickly pear cactus that you can just place around wherever you want to.
Wow.
That's really cool. Also on the table, Daniel, and I'm going to go ahead and let you zoom in on this. We've got John Fowler sent us the piers that you would use with the microengineering viaduct, and this would go underneath a steel tall viaduct. I've got 8 of those piers on the table. Those are also 3D printed. Next to that is the blocks. And the blocks, I've got a couple of them stacked up. These are those blocks that you see along the highway sometimes during construction scenes, and the railroads also use them for creating retaining walls along the main line. And as you see the blocks standing up at a 45-degree angle, that's how they're printed. They're actually printed. It's amazing. 3D printing is amazing.
Yes,
and
it
also on
is.
the table, we've got 2 And these are called lubricators. What are these called, John, these two lubricators?
Flange greasers.
Flange greasers.
Okay. And those are also on your website. There's a lot of cool things on ZYX Creative on your website. And it was really cool when you sent us those photographs of the trains right off of your back
Yeah.
porch.
The one in winter is just amazing.
Yeah, John.
Wow.
You've got it going on out
Yeah.
there. Now, you also have a model railroad, just like Jim showed us his layout a few moments ago. I've got some
Right.
photographs of your layout here, and it appears that you model Southern Pacific Santa Fe with the desert-type scenery, a lot of the mountainy scenery. Tell us about your layout. Tell us the size, and tell us about your passion for the hobby.
The unofficial name of the layout is called The Incomplete History of Diesels in the Southwest United States. Now, originally it was going to be Southern Pacific in the early 90s, but as I got more and more into the hobby, I discovered that there were so many great models out there from all just different eras. You know, there are F units and there's, you know, Alcos, and I mean, just all kinds of great, awesome
Wow.
models. And I didn't want to miss out on that. So I kind of converted it over to the history of diesels. The layout is about 17 by 15 feet. It's something you might have seen in 101 track plans. It's really old school. It's all in the middle of the room, and the viewing areas are around the layout. It's got a couple of pop-ups in the middle, which are well hidden. You don't see them. Much of the track, about 80% of the track, is hidden. It's all hidden underneath. Wow. It's hiding 20 staging tracks,
Wow.
which are housing 16 trains. And I have, you know, blocks of trains from eras ranging from 1940 to
Nice.
2010.
Nice.
Wow.
So, and I run those, you know, by era. I, you know, kind of categorize them by eras, and I only run the eras that are compatible with each other. It's not an operator type layout. There are no handheld throttles on this layout. It's all automated and controlled by computer software.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow.
So
Man.
I run what are called schedules, and those, you know, start the trains. The computer will start the train and it'll drive it to a certain point, and it'll stop the train, and then when it stops, that will trigger another train or maybe two trains to then go, and they'll go to their destination, and then when they stop, that'll trigger other events.
Wow.
That is
So-
really cool.
And it was built from the ground up to be a automated layout.
Very cool.
I love that bridge just over the background of your head right there.
Yeah.
You were sitting obviously right there in your layout room.
This was inspired by the Cienega Creek Bridge, which is just outside of Tucson.
Very cool. Before we go back out to Jim Zinzer, I've got Mike Budde sitting here with us today. Mike, you're not on Skype,
Right. I'm finally here.
and you've been working on some stuff this week. Tell us what you've been working on.
Well, the big news is these tangent high cubes. I remember a couple of years ago when the tangent 40-foot high cube first came out, I was thinking, man, it'd be nice if Dave would make an 86
These are
foot.
tangent cars?
Yes, they are.
I didn't
They're
even. Are
brand
these
new.
brand new?
Yes, they
I
are.
didn't even know they made these.
No.
Those are cool.
Can I touch that?
Sure. But
This is a tangent
Yeah, be
89
careful, there's a
foot.
lot
Is this
of
Pullman
detail.
Standard or is this Evans?
it's Greenville.
Greenville. So nobody's ever made a Greenville before.
Well, Athearn did kind of, but this is just so far superior with all the detail, the
Holy
etched parts,
cow.
you
Look
know.
at that.
I know. Look at
individual.
this. It's got the
Yeah.
running guardrail, the guiding
door
for the
guide-
wheels.
Yeah, the door track is
The door track.
Hey,
Separate
hold that up.
parts.
Let's see that.
I tried building that out of brass once. I'm going to photograph these
Yeah.
outside. You
Okay.
guys are going to get some eyeballs of this.
Yeah.
But I mean,
That
he's
is
got
amazing.
Look at
that.
the coupler detail.
there's 7 different body variations
Well,
he's done.
Good job, David Lyabach.
Yeah, no kidding.
Some of them have the old roof walk, the bolts running along the roof where they remove the roof walks, you know,
Yeah.
and they're all details. They're all road name specific details. Different underframes, like that's got a hydro cushion underframe on it,
Wow.
and it's some of them have
Look at
70-ton
that.
wheels.
It's
Some
got
of them,
the springs for the undercarriage.
Yeah.
right. and the hydraulic
Wow,
cylinder in the
good
middle.
job, David Leibach. This is
Oh,
a
man.
big freight car.
Beautiful.
Yes. And
Tangent, rock and roll.
Yeah.
I got New York Central that's got 70-ton trucks there.
Put it back over there. I don't want to touch that.
Daniel, you want to check this out?
I'll check it out.
No, here, you can hold it.
Okay.
Southern, and I also got. I think my favorite is DT&I, but the like I said, the New York Central has the Hydra cushion underframe sliding center sill, which it doesn't actually operate, but it's very well represented. It looks awesome. And then the Southern one has the body mounted brake gear hanging down underneath there, so when you photograph that, check that out. It's just and that's a totally different underframe than the either the DT&I or the New York Central. So
Good job, man.
the DT&I has the correct 100-ton trucks with the Barber S2 trucks, low profile trucks, Timken roller bearings. This has the Brenco. I mean, you got the right roller bearings on them too,
Wow.
and with rotating.
I
bearing
didn't see
caps.
that coming tonight.
Look at all that research.
I know.
Now,
I didn't see that coming. I just saw them sitting there.
I got to
It's like,
tell you guys, the first 4 road names are sold out. They sold out in one day.
Okay.
But he's doing. He's going to rerun the Southern Pacific, the DT&I, a couple of the other ones sold out. But he's got a whole bunch more road names. Do you know how many railroads had these and the cool paint schemes they had and stuff? So there's big plans for this car. I think
that's
he's going.
neat.
Mike just stole the show.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to do the 8-door version too. So just be sure you're
Guys, I
signed
wish
up.
you guys were here to see these cars.
Yeah,
they are
these
amazing.
Are pretty awesome.
In the final
Yeah.
edit, you guys will be able to see this. Good job, David Leibach at Tangent. I
Yes.
didn't see that coming. I had no idea.
I didn't either.
He's made the smaller cars, the grain cars.
Right.
He's made almost all types of
All
rolls.
time, yeah.
This is the
hoppers
biggest car he's
and
ever
gondola,
made. That's
yeah.
a big die.
Yeah,
That's a
this
lot of
is-
work and a lot of planning.
This sets the new bar for sure.
New bar. You got some dump truck and a truck there too.
Oh
Mike.
yeah, those are just a couple vehicles I've been working on. This is an old Athearn truck. The only thing different is my resin cab that I made from a Matchbox truck.
That's cool.
And then it's got Plano mirrors on it and stuff. And then the dump truck is an old Leetown. Well, it's 2 Leetown bodies spliced together to lengthen it on an CNC soft metal casting frame. And then that GMC cab is one that I did too. It's modified from a Majorette toy. So it just takes
Interesting.
a little work to make them look realistic.
That's interesting. Coming up on 33 minutes, I'm still going out to Jim Zinzer. Woody called me up this week and said, "Hey Ken, there's actually a train show going on in this country.
Yeah, it's in Michigan, isn't it?
It's coming up this weekend.
Really?
Muskegon.
Muskegon, Michigan. Thank
I've
you
been
very
there.
much.
I've
Wow.
been there a bunch of times.
Muskegon, Michigan. It's being held out on the Western Avenue, 424 Western Avenue. That's their farmers market out there. And he told me that there's 32 vendors scheduled to be there at the show, and they still have available tables and things like that. But the fact is, here's a train show, guys, that you guys can go to. August 30th, 2020, 10 a.m. until 3.
How far is that from here?
That's for us, that's a distance.
8 to 10 hours.
But
maybe,
it's
maybe 8
just
hours. if you-
refreshing to hear that there's a train show
Yeah.
going on.
It is nice country up there. Very nice.
Jim, what else did you want to talk about with the NMRA? Because we're probably getting close to the end on this one, and I know you had some other ideas in your mind.
Well, I wanted to focus, and in fact, I think this is why I was kind of asked to be on the show by the folks at in the NMRA, like Jerry Leone, who
He was
twisted
great.
my arm.
Jerry's
Yeah.
a great guy.
He's a good guy. He's a good friend. But Jerry approached me about being on the show because of this column that I write, which is called the Division Business Car. And the Division Business Car column focuses on what the divisions are doing around the NMRA. And the idea is to share ideas in the column with divisions all over the world, so that if a division is doing something, putting on some kind of a program or having some kind of an activity that is kind of a neat thing to do, well, here's an idea that you might be able to use in your division as well. So it's kind of a share the wealth kind of thing. So
good
that's
idea.
part of the column. The other part of the column is that I also pick up some articles from the division newsletters, because pretty much all of them publish a division newsletter, sometimes 4 times a year, 6 times a year, sometimes every month. And in them, they have modeling articles by their members. And normally the only people that would see those modeling articles are people who live in that division or maybe in that region. But if I find some articles that I think this is a great modeling idea, this is something everybody ought to take a look at. So I talk about those in the column, and then what I do is I have them posted in the members only area on the NMRA website, so that everybody can read those same articles that only the local division people would normally see. And it's another way of sharing, the skills and the expertise of modelers all over. So that's kind of what I do with my column. And I can't possibly include every division there is. I took a count here, and I think we're up to about 176 divisions in the NMRA worldwide. And I read about 40 newsletters every month from regions and divisions around the world. So obviously I don't cover anywhere near as many as there are, but I'm always looking to hear from divisions that I haven't heard from, or even regions that I haven't heard from. So if I can do a shameless plug here real quick, if you are the division newsletter editor of your division or the region newsletter editor of your region, I would really very much like to get your newsletter. So if you could shoot me an email at the column's email address, which is divbizcar, DIVBIZCAR, at outlook.com, I would very much appreciate talking to you about adding you to my collection of literature that I read every month.
Great.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And when John Fowler, out there listening to the Real Trains right now, wants to join the NMRA, and I want you to, John, so that when you go to that show out there, we can all meet out there. Tell us, Jim, what website do you need to go to join up with the NMRA?
Well, there's a couple of ways I would suggest. One, of course, is to go to www.nmra.org, because all the answers are there on the big national website. Another thing that you could do that actually might be of extra benefit to you if you do it this way is to go on the NMRA website under the regions. Up at the top of the page, there's a thing you can click on that says regions. Click on that and it'll show you all the regions and all the divisions worldwide. And so you find the region in the part of the world you live in, and within it you find the division that's closest to you, and there's contact information there. And you get in contact with that division, find out when they're having their meetings. Some, as I say, do it monthly, some do it, bi-monthly, whenever. And go to one of their meetings as a guest. They'd love to see you. And you can find out about the local people. You might find you already know some of them. And they can kind of tell you about what their division actually does and what they do at division meetings. And sometimes, and this is why I say it might help in a different way, the NMRA, and I think on previous shows, Ken, you talked about the Rail Pass program, where you can get a 9-month trial membership in the NMRA for $20.
Right.
And but some divisions, as a means of attracting new members, will pick that cost up for you, so you could get your trial membership for free. Now, as I say, not every division does this. Sometimes it's the region that does it. But this is another thing that you could inquire about when you go to that division meeting. So that's kind of a way, and even if they don't offer it, you can go visit them 3 times, and if you like what you see, then you join, based on what you see and who you meet.
That's absolutely awesome. Guys, I want to thank John and Jim for both being on the show. I hear that music starting up, and you know what that means. That means we're getting ready to go run some trains. Guys, check out Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine's YouTube site. The What's Neat This Week show is just going to be coming out for the month of September. This is the last week that we do the show here, the podcast, for the month of August. We want to thank everybody out there that's watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button,
That's
like
right.
Joshua always says.
Click the bell.
And hit the bell.
That's right. Notifications.
Indeed.
And tell your friends about the show. We'll drive our numbers up and make everybody out there happy, showing you what's new in the hobby every single week, whether it's new products, new events, or wonderful people just like John Fowler and Jim Zinzer out there. Mike Budde, Joshua Sugarfire Martin, and of course Daniel Coombs and Stripe over here walking around the room.
Right.
Guys, this is the best hobby in the world with the best people in it. I know it sounds like I say that all the time, but it's so true.
Very true.
Let's go run some trains,
All
gentlemen.
right.
Mike.